All right. So, yeah, thanks everyone. Just wanted to tell you about a new podcast that I'm launching next month in May. This will be going live. This was planned before the pandemic, but got a little bit more time to work on it now. And some of you may know me from Merge with Spark Consulting, but want to talk to you about the Iowa idea and the original Iowa. Requirements for a master's degree, which at the time was a revolutionary move. And then in 36, the Writers' Workshop was founded. The workshop has produced 17 Pulitzers, 9 National Poet Laureates, no Nobel journalists that I know of, though. Just a little political joke to stick it in on a Wednesday. And then 1938, Lester Longman brought art history and studio art together. So with the Iowa idea, we have more of modern day workshop that's also led to Iowa City being a UNESCO City of Literature, so having an international reputation. For those that might not know, UNESCO is the United Nations educational, scientific, and cultural organization. And its mission is to build peace through international cooperation, education, the sciences, and culture. So, very proud to be in Iowa City, and that the Iowa idea led to something like this. So, from a podcast perspective, we'll be exploring creativity, we'll be telling stories of creators, and it's really rooted in the concept of the Iowa idea, mixing theory and practice to advance both. Uh, we're going to be looking at stories of Iowa natives, transplants, and friends that demonstrate the Iowa idea in their approach to craft and how they might demonstrate grit and persistence. The themes that we're exploring are creativity, craft, collaboration, innovation, persistence, grit, or one of my favorite terms from the Finns is sisu to describe persistence. And one of the things I want to share is that cool things can happen here, that it can happen where you're at. So it's not just uh, uh, has to be limited to Iowa, but really exploring the Iowa idea with a strong foundation here in the state of Iowa. So the objectives are to tell cool stories and highlight the beauty in the stories of people that make the world a more interesting place. The general questions, you know, lead with tell me about yourself. How did you get interested in blank in their art, craft, business, how they approach their craft, advice that they have, and what they've learned along the way. And so just sharing a little bit about this, tell me about yourself. There was an article a couple of years in New York Times, but for fans of Terry Gross Public Radio, that's how she starts her interviews is she tell me about yourself. And that way it lets the person she's talking to set the frame rather than her set the frame. I just love that the New York Times said that NPR host offers 8 spicy tips for having better conversations. And never quite thought that Terry Gross is spicy, but then the picture of her in black leather spicing it up there. So, uh, another thing that the advice is really coming from a book by Austin Kleon, Steal Like an Artist. He claims when we give advice, we're actually talking to our younger self. And so that's one of the things I want to explore in somebody's learning process about their craft or creativity is what they learned along the way. And kind of celebrating this as well, also with using the Iowa idea is, taking that idea, and I want it to be good theft. So honoring that, studying as we dig into the many forms of the Iowa idea and how it presents itself 100 years later. So the guests so far, these are people I've already recorded with, and we'll be getting the website up soon. Again, next month we'll be launching. But had a great interview with Charity Nebbe from IPR and Iowa Public Television. Mike Montero, head of Mule Design, and does a lot of speaking on design and ethics. Alex Deason, musician and songwriter. His MFA is from the University of Iowa. He's collaborated. His bands were the Damwells, and his new band is Broken Baby. But he's done songwriting for the Dixie Chicks, for Justin Bieber. He's collaborated with Bunny Carlos from Cheap Trick. And he's a great guy. John Kenyon, director of the City of Literature. Vera Rose Smith, who works at the Stanley Museum. She's an artist, curator, and educator. Nick Scappaticci, he's the CEO and co-founder of TellArt, and they were a 2015 Cooper Hewitt Award winner for interaction design. And Kurt Nelson, he runs a podcast called Behavioral Grooves. His BA and MBA were from Iowa. And so all of those were what I feel were, I was really honored to have that time with them. And that's the start of the guests so far. So that might give a little bit of flavor of what you'll hear on the Iowa Idea. And so just wanted to jump into more of a discussion on questions that you have, advice that you might have, and potential guests after seeing who some of those that we've had here or others that might be more knowledgeable on the Iowa Idea who might represent that. So I'll open that up for conversation.
I don't have a guest idea, but for the Austin Kleon, he did an interview with Chase Jarvis that you might want to check out. They did it in an old church, so it's really got this cool kind of echoey, real like down to earth feel. But he kind of goes. This is after he wrote Stay Like an Artist. So he kind of goes through his process, and it might be kind of interesting for you to check out to see.
Thanks, Gabe. Can you remind me who was the interview? Who conducted the interview?
Chase Jarvis. I can send you a link.
Awesome. Thank you.
When I can get to it. But yeah, it might be something interesting to check out.
I appreciate that.
Matt, can you talk about logistically, how are you producing your podcast? What does that process look like?
And I see Jeremy's on the line, getting some support and help from Jeremy. But right now, it's basically using Zoom, using a Blue Yeti microphone, and just setting up time. And then what I'm doing is I'm taking the interview, dumping it down into GarageBand, doing some editing, and then putting that together with kind of intro, outro. Actually wrote some music. A friend of mine who does a lot of music in town, we worked on intro, outro theme song. And by that, it was basically me rough demoing something and then him actually producing it. But so then I'll put all those together into an audio file. And then when the website goes live for each episode, there'll be kind of the episode title, a picture or headshot of the guest. So that the slide you saw with the guest so far, I'd have kind of more of their publicity photo, and then we'll have a description of them and some of the things that we covered in the conversation. Is that making sense?
Yeah, I have a follow-up question too. And we kind of had this conversation when you were first thinking about the podcast, but what's your plan for marketing your podcast when podcasts can be oversaturated, like the market with that?
Yeah, that's great. I think one of the things is trying to find more of that niche. And so a couple niches in there is celebrating the Iowa Idea, focusing primarily on content that could be meaningful to artists and Iowans. So, I mean, it's not just limited to Iowa, but that's its initial focus and kind of, frankly, more of the passion around it.
So is this an intentional, what I'll call pre-branding, where you start with an idea, you're pulling something together, and then the idea is to go to a larger thing with a new name at a later time?
Not necessarily the going to another name at another time. I mean, I do hope to grow it. I hope these stories are valuable and helpful to folks. I'm also leaving it. I'm not explicitly like trying to tag it with Spark, right? That's one of the things I'm trying to keep a little bit separate. I probably just say that it was produced by Spark Consulting, just that there is some overlap in design and creativity and innovation. But the intent is to grow and build it, but organically and no expectation on growing it quickly. I mean, everybody that I've talked to on the podcast front, it's slow growth and try to keep pushing it, but I'm open to hearing other tips and advice on growing podcasts. Because Liz, it's not like this is the first podcast out there.
What is the
That being
business?
said, I'll listen to it for sure.
What is a business model for revenue generation in that?
Sorry, Joe, what did you say? Business model?
Yes.
For revenue generation? Yeah.
Yes.
So far, it's money in. It's a lot like my other business.
Oh,
Lots of costs, but no, I think later, if it grows, will there be sponsorship opportunities, exploring that. But one of the things my friend Kurt Nelson with Behavioral Grooves, one of the things that he's done is he has a business called Lantern Group, and they do consulting around kind of motivating folks in business and organization. So his podcast overlaps with his business interests. And one of the things that's happened for him is through his podcast, he's had guests that there's no way he'd be able to get them to talk to him just as Lantern Group. But through his podcast, and as that grew, it opened doors for him. And so kind of as a side door, he's been able to get increase his network that way. So a little bit of a slow play on that business model from a networking perspective.
Have you had anybody kind of like wanting to be paid or like needing, something in exchange for being on the podcast? Have you had any pushback?
Not yet.
Like that?
I think one of the things that happened was, this podcast was in the plans and works for a while, and then COVID hit. And I think what I found is people are just loving to talk to somebody else that doesn't live in their home and it's not a business meeting. So kind of striking while the iron's hot on this, like, like Montero, for example, we've met at a couple conferences, been in touch, but I really wasn't expecting him to say yes, but I thought I'd throw it out there and see if he wanted to be a guest. And lo and behold, he was.
And if you do have anybody that, like, you reach out to somebody, oh, we charge this for appearances, how would you approach something like that?
I don't know. John Corrigan, if you don't mind, have you had guests ask for?
I've never had a guest
please?
ask. I think your approach of not taking this as part of your revenue generating business spark. I think having this be something different, and it's a conversation of interest to different communities out there. I think that's the way to go. And I would give a hard no on anybody asking for compensation to be on the podcast. Just tell them that you're starting up and that you haven't paid anybody. It's kind of it's almost like a journalistic approach to it. But
cool. Thanks, John.
man, I don't know what you were thinking in terms of scope, but I've had the great fortune in my career. I've been east, west, north, south, whatever. There are people from Iowa all over the place doing interesting things, especially of my generation. A lot of people left and some have come back. But there's a woman who serves on one of the executive advisory boards in here at the university. She's out in Cambridge, Massachusetts. She's doing really fascinating work in biopharmaceuticals. The founder of Pinterest, Ben Silbermann, he grew up in Des Moines. I think he went to Des Moines Roosevelt High School. There is a woman who has had a major showing at National Gallery in Washington, D.C. I think her name is Rose something. She's a big deal artist, and she's based in Maquoketa. Her gallery is in Maquoketa. I think that there's so many interesting people who are either in Iowa or from Iowa. And what I have found is that when you run across a fellow Iowan, whether they're in Silicon Valley or Miami or wherever they are, they'd love to talk about it. And if they have any connection or inspiration to what they're doing today with Iowa, I would be shocked if they wouldn't be interested in coming on your podcast. And once you get your first round done, you have a great base to have that conversation.
Thanks. Yeah, I appreciate that. And I was writing all those down. And it's funny too, what those trigger, like hearing something else, and you mentioned Maquoketa, and then I was thinking about the Barn Series concerts that are there. And I the ones I published, just because I get nervous if somebody said yes and then I don't have. So I showed you all of those I do have recorded, and I have a couple really interesting ones too that have been agreed to. One a film from Iowa, a filmmaker in LA.
Right. Yeah.
Not one of the Russo brothers, not that big of a filmmaker, but yeah, and through some of those networks, and I thought about checking in with Sarah Epstein Moninger. She writes for Iowa Magazine, but she covers a lot of alumni, and sometimes they do geographic or regional areas, like Iowans in California, Iowans in Colorado. So I appreciate that, because I'll be looking at that quite a bit.
Yeah, great.
And back to the, I guess, kind of related to the business model, is one of my thoughts is Spark is founded also on like lots of lean prototypes, and I see this as a lean experiment. Podcasting isn't that expensive, right? And I want to do it well, and I'd love for it to grow, but it's a little bit of a prototype and experiment. But one of the other things as a qualitative researcher that I'm really interested in is going down the road in a season in or a year in, what themes might I see from creativity and craft, and that might be able to generate more content marketing that could cross promote on, from my blog for Spark. Here are themes that I learned from craftspeople, or from conducting 100 interviews with artists and business leaders. Here's what I found. And so that's another kind of slow growth model that's in the back of my head. Other questions or advice on awesome creatives and craftspeople to talk to?
Who's your dream interviewee? Like, if you could choose anyone, but that might be up right now.
Kurt Vonnegut. It might be a little bit hard. So, yeah, my dream one, just from some of the people I've talked, just when you get them to talk about their passion, I think it's really cool and fun. I have one of my I guess somebody I've reached out to and has agreed, but just really busy right now. But Andre Perry, I just love Andre's energy, and I love his perspective. And from curating festivals to business leadership, the intersection of art and business to authorship, I think he would be fun, and also a great voice to get out there.
So Matt, what different other podcasts do you feel like are kind of in the same area as yours, kind of Iowa focused or that sort of thing? And what would if you had a crossover episode with any of them, what would it be and why?
Yeah, thanks, Jay. Well, if I go down this road and see a few more, but I've seen, there's a podcast focused more on Iowa entrepreneurs. And then there is the Nate Kading Corridor Business Journal, which is more business focused. So both of those I think would be interesting crossovers. For me, I think that kind of the differentiation is I'm interested in kind of more of the approach to craft and almost continuous learning and collaboration, because I think a lot of those elements from 100 years ago, when the Iowa idea emerged, and that was kind of innovative and revolutionary at the time, was let's bring practice and craft together. And as we focus on more complex problems, we need to be able to collaborate quickly. We need lots of creative perspectives. And so that's where I'm interested in how people have brought more collaborative approaches as well.
Sure.
That was one of the things that came out of my interview with Nick Scaptici. One of the things that TellArts developed is the Museum of the Future, where they do what they call prototyping at scale. But the biggest thing he talks about is the need for collaboration at scale, is that it's a whole new world, and to solve really complex problems, we need a lot of good social emotional learning skills, and we need to be able to collaborate quickly with lots of different leaders, because the world's so complex. we don't have all the knowledge in-house. And so how can we quickly collaborate with people outside of our walls? And so those are things that I want to explore and still stay rooted in when Iowa is at its best self as a caring, smart state, right? And I want to do some interviews too about some of the problems Iowa has had when it comes to civil rights or some other struggles that we've had. But when I think about Iowa and Iowans at their best are collaborative, creative, helpful, get shit done, and make the world a better place.
Definitely. Cool. Anyone else have questions?
Any interest in doing like a brewery or breweries?
Did you say brewery or breweries?
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'd love to do that one on site, though.
Yeah.
But I've had, yeah. Sorry.
I'm just, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, Tanya. I was about to run long on that, so I was just going to, yes. Tanya.
Being part of the music scene here in Iowa has been it's just a tremendously deep pool of talent that we have here. And I'm wondering about doing that, and specifically like genres of music that we have here. I'm of course a blues person, so we have blues societies, we have blues competitions, we have all kinds of stuff that's going on in that genre. So I'm doing healing with the blues, so I'm wondering about that. Plus the huge amount of alternative healers that we have here too. Whenever there's a giant hospital, there's always a lot of alternative healers as well. So I'm wondering about doing something like that.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. I had music I definitely thought of and have a couple musicians already kind of queued up. But yeah, definitely interested in exploring both. I think one of the things that interests me about the podcast format is that you can go longer, that it's not trying to get somebody's idea down to 140 characters or, a hashtag. And that's one of the things I really do want to explore is how their ideas or their thoughts on their craft emerged, and how do they continue, and how do they improve. And I wish I could remember the musician's name, but I thought he was a cellist, and he was about he was in his 90s, and he said something about practicing, and somebody said, "You still practice?" And he said, "Yes, because I believe I'm making progress." Right. And so I want to explore that idea of continuous improvement throughout people's lives. But thank you for both the music and the alternative healing. And if you don't mind, I'll probably follow up with you offline.
Oh, that'd be great.
Thank you.
Who's your target audience?
Aaron, that is a great question. Because I don't think it's a demographic one. So I think more from sociographic or psychographic is people that are interested in finding out more about art, creativity, and innovation. Company I work with, some of you know, I do work with a innovation company called Maddox Douglas at times, and I was talking to their VP of growth, and one of the more provocative things he said to me the other day was that the MFA is the new MBA. What they're seeing in innovation is the need for creativity and the need to solve complex problems, taking different perspectives. So, I would suppose I'm looking at just people that are interested in finding out more about how others approach their craft, what they can learn from that. And I've been a big fan in my design career of applying different models and metaphors to help solve new problems. So like when we look at how do they do this in blank, or how does this system work? And so I'm just hoping that I can add a little bit of collaboration and insight, and then again, being able to celebrate stories of creatives that have done cool things. So it's more people that might have that interest rather than a pure demographic.
Very cool. Thank you.
I appreciate the question. I wish I had a better answer for you.
No, you answered it just as well as you could. And then remind me what the launch date is again.
Sometime next month. We're working to get the website integrated. Actually, I have some more meetings on it today, and then finalize I still have to record and produce that. I'm going to do an intro episode. One of the things I'm thinking about doing, since I have about 7 interviews in the can too, is doing a montage of some of the audio stuff so that people hear that I already have lots of guests. But next month, and I'll be letting the community know. Yeah, and was it Bill? You had asked about beer or breweries?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple on the list already of folks that I want to reach out to, but I haven't. But like, for example, some more like both craft beers and foods. Like, I also want to reach out to the folks at La Quercia on just their approach to making world recognized prosciutto. But I definitely want to do some of the breweries.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting characters that are behind those, and
You should
can
get
probably help
on
you on that.
you should get on the Exile people. Their beer is very, very delicious.
So Aaron, now maybe we're seeing my demographic is people that can supply either free smoked meat or free beer.
Yeah, maybe change the title over from the Iowa idea to the Iowa beverage. The Iowa.
Don't forget the bourbon at Cedar Ridge either.
Right.
My brother has a winery out in California.
Really?
Yeah, it's Cartograph Wines. He started podcasting about wine many years ago as a cellar rat, where he worked at two different wineries as a cellar rat, cleaning the barrels, and had a podcast and featured in Wine Spectator. And now he has a vineyard and a tasting room in Healdsburg, California, north of San Francisco. I can reach out to him if you'd be interested in regional Iowans.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. Yeah, I'll reach out to him today.
And
Thank you.
once and I can work with you on this a little bit later, but if you are interested down the road, once you get your numbers up a bit, in some sort of monetization, ones that are more geographic centric sometimes do have an easier time of getting sponsors, just because you have a specific niche. But it's for kind of what you're doing, sometimes it's not that hard to get sponsored by by a local like an Iowa brewery, or an Iowa like coffee shop type place, or coffee maker or something like that. So probably won't be a huge sponsorship, but something where just every episode you mention you're sitting there with a nice tall glass of Java House blend, whatever.
Right.
I don't see Matt with Java House. Maybe with one of the breweries.
It's 7:30 in the morning in here with Exile.
That's a very
we've been here since 6 a.m., so it might be a little slow.
It looked like Joe maybe had a question.
Yes. Do you plan on or consider covering visual arts and visual artists in this series?
Yes, yeah, and to talk about their craft and approach, I have a couple muralists and a couple other visual printmakers on my list to reach out to, but it's among consideration. Did you have any specifics that you were thinking of?
Well, yeah, I've been doing collages on the side for a long time. And
oh, right on.
Could I send you pics of them, or?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
And if anybody wants to send me anything, my email is marnold@inspiredbyspark.com.
I was gonna say, does anyone else have any questions?
Run that again, the email.
It's marnold. Looks like Marnold @inspiredbyspark.com.
Throw it in the chat too.
Yeah.
Steve might have just or no.
All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions?
No, but I put a plug in for Cartograph Wines in the chat.
Nice.
Thanks, Steve.
Is it any good? That's the question, Steve.
Yeah, they've run some competitions, the San Francisco Chronicles wine competition, and Yeah, it's good stuff.
Nice.
Pretty much any wine is good, especially if it's the third glass.
I think that's true for just about any beverage. What's that, Aaron?
I said I would beg to differ on that one. I've gotten through an entire bottle of wine that tasted like vinegar, and I thought that the third glass would be okay. It was just awful.
I love your grit and persistence, though.
Yeah.
I know. Well,
That's
I
impressive.
was sitting in the winery, and I didn't want to be rude.
Oh, that's it. Didn't want to be rude.
Yeah. And I didn't know what else could be better, so and I didn't want to drink.
It's not that you were fighting sobriety like a warrior on a battlefield.
I'm so good at that.
Hey Matt, there's a woman here at University of Iowa that does music therapy in prisons, and her name is Mary Cohen, and I can connect you.
Yes.
And
Yeah. Thank you. I forgot about Mary. Pam does. My wife has done some work with. She's been on some committees with Mary. I forgot about that's because it's an awesome story.
Melissa and I had a chance to go to one of the concerts they do at Oakdale, and it's inspiring. Mary's gone to Europe. Her work is really being recognized nationally and around the world both. And I think she is in the spirit of the Iowa story or the Iowa idea. I think she's kind of living example of that, and I think she writes music too. I think she's written songs and things like that also.
Yeah, John, thank you. I can't believe I forgot about Mary, but yeah, it's great. And if anybody gets a chance to go when things open up again, kind of the inside outside singers, the work that they do, it was a really powerful production.
Yeah.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Any other questions from the group? If not, I'll ask our final question. What can we as the community do to help you?
Thanks, Jay, and thanks everybody. One is just taking the time today. I really appreciate that and hope that everybody is well and healthy. I think the main thing is what we've been doing now is potential ideas, potential connections as we get this thing off the ground. I think the second thing is just shameless plug. When it goes live, please listen, and critiques are welcome. So, as it goes, what's working, what's not working, and I guess when you have a chance to let people know about the Iowa idea after it launches, I think if it's done right, I think it'll do a great job of telling some great stories that help celebrate the best of Iowa.
And where are we going to be able to find this once it launches?
It will be domain will be the iowaidea.com.
Very nice. Excellent. Well, I'm looking forward to it and looking forward to downloading this. So thank you so much for presenting today and sharing your new podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Great seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Stay healthy.